Well, hey guys, and good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Great to be with you. Happy New Year if this is your first time joining me either this year or if you've never been on the show before. Welcome. Happy New Year. If you're coming back, of course, a happy, healthy New Year to you as well. And welcome back to the show. This is the Inspirations for Your Life, Inspirations for Your Life, the daily motivational show. We've been on the air, guys, over 4 years now, celebrating. And 8 days into the new year. Really happy about that. Hope you guys all had an amazing holiday. And it was fun for you, family, and friends. And I do want to encourage you to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations right after the show is over. You can get my short form, my long form articles, and so much more, reels, and a lot more. So check that out. If you're thirsty, feel free to go grab yourself something and come on back, get cozy, whether it's a hot cocoa, whether it's water, whether it's on a snack, chocolate, fruit, healthy or not, that's totally up to you. So without any further ado, guys, let's kick the show off. So this is the Inspirations for Your Life show. And today we're focusing all about productivity. And of course, it's hosted by me, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I'm also an engineer. I'm a marketing specialist. I'm a video producer, a podcast host, a coach, a graduate student, and yes, guys, a passionate, lifelong learner. And it's my privilege and pleasure to be here with you tonight. Your focus is your most valuable asset. And tonight, we're locking it down together. So stop procrastinating, everyone. Work smarter and make every minute count with these 30 strategies that I'm going to share with you right now. Protect one 25-minute block like it's a meeting with your future. Remove one distraction instead of adding 3 new apps. If it takes less than 2 minutes, well, do it now. Don't start the day with everyone else's agenda. Notifications on, you get the point, right? Task switch, less. Finish more. A lot of people think that when they're multitasking, I don't know, these big billion-dollar companies that are having people do chat sessions, and they think they're saving money. Maybe they are, but they're really offering really terrible customer service. So, yeah, that's the problem. Ask this question. What is the one thing that would move everything else forward for you? Now, that may not be an easy question. You might not know the answer right away. You might have to ponder on it, okay? Your brain is not meant to be in 12 tabs at once. Make a 2-day list, not a 2-life list. And I think these are very, very important things that, we need to be understanding. But I think sometimes people, well, they get a little bit bogged down, okay? Why? It's just the way they are. Perfectionism isn't just procrastination, guys. It's wearing a fancy coat. Well, you don't need the fancy coat. We've talked about silence in the apps before. Turning off your notifications for 24 hours. Can you do that? I think sometimes we try to refine something, but then we get more inundated and we don't know how to proceed. I've talked to you before about working in chunks or sprints, right? And so don't worry about what's coming next week. Worry about what you're doing at this moment. You're not unmotivated, you're unclear. And I think we've all gotten unclear before, right? Being unclear doesn't really feel good. It feels icky, right? It's like we don't know how to proceed. Have you ever had those mornings where you get up? Maybe you came back from a trip or something, and there's like all this stuff that's piling up on you, and you don't exactly know what to do. All you know is that where the heck do I start, right? Do you know when your best time is? Is it during the day or is it at night? See, you need to learn when your most productive time is so you can do those hardest tasks then. Confusion is not an excuse, okay, for being able to progress forward. You can choose to learn different things in your life, but what you can't do is go back and redo what you've already done. Can you do it again? Sure. but you can't undo something. Like maybe you made a first impression and it was terrible. Can't go back and redo it. When I say the word priorities, what comes to mind? Well, I think what should pop in your head are things like maybe the three most important things you got to get done, right? When you get up in the morning, what's the most important thing to you? To me, getting out of bed and rising comfortably, not bouncing out with an alarm, but just gently getting up and feeling more than alert, not tired. And I think when I feel these things, life changes a little bit for me. And then what happens next? Well, then next, I usually want to get up and I could have breakfast. I could be doing lots of different things, guys. Okay. I mean, lots of different things. And I think if we can understand what these things are, then maybe our life could be just a little bit easier. Okay. A little bit easier. And I know sometimes we get stuck. We all get stuck in this maze of life, don't we? And I think that could be a current problem, right? I think that's something that a lot of people like they don't really understand. Okay. Um, I think sometimes people don't really understand like what's happening. Okay. Um, I think that's a very, very big problem. And I know that a lot of you are saying to me, John, like, that can't always be. But I'm here to tell you that it can. And so I think you need to realize what's going on in your life. Okay. Um, what's going on in your life because sometimes life is just not the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Um, right. I think that can be a very, very big problem. So, what is it that you do? How do you do things? Um, I think that can come down to a mess for some people. Okay. A mess because sometimes people just don't get things. All right. They don't necessarily understand what it means. They don't know how that's going to work. And I think that's a very, very big problem for a lot of people. So that's something I want you to understand. And I know sometimes you're probably going to have a hard time with this, but I want to be very clear with you that you need to be doing the right things. Okay. And these are things that you can do because you need to understand those priorities, right? So I get up in the morning, I take a little bit of a break, I stretch. Usually I'll do some exercises, weights, other types of body exercises. I'll have breakfast, I'll take a shower, right? And I'll get in line with things. Your environment should make the right work easy to start. You shouldn't be getting inundated by problems, right? What happens when you open a million tabs in your browser? Well, I'll tell you what happens. It's like you get completely lost. You don't know what to do. And that's a very, very big, big problem. A problem that a lot of people don't actually realize because you get inundated with things that aren't even related to what you're working on. And then we get this syndrome of, busy or being effective. A lot of people tell me, John, I'm busy, I don't have time. But I want to ask you a question. When you tell me you're busy, are you really busy or are you just trying to seem important? When people are busy, everyone assumes that they're successful. That's not always the case. Okay. And I want to be very clear with you on that right now. Start with the frog, as I've said before, the one uncomfortable task. Do your hardest thing first, and everything else will just become so much easier for you. Okay. It'll be a lot easier for you. And I hope that'll make some sense. I hope. We have to measure our day on what we did, not what we didn't do. Right? We're always analyzing what we didn't do, but then we don't praise ourselves for what we did do. I think that's a very important thing that a lot of people like they just don't get it. Okay? Um that's important to know, guys. It's important to know that sometimes we just don't get things because, well, we don't get them. Not because we don't want to get them, but just because, well, we don't get them. And if we don't get something, how is it that we're supposed to move forward? Like, how? And I think sometimes when we think about, these things, I think people get a little bit lost. All right. They get lost because what they're doing is not truly in alignment with who they are. Does that make sense? So that's very, very important to realize. And I want you to understand that right now. It's about truth. Okay. It's about true truth. That's important, guys. And truth is something that we all learn at different stages in our life. Sometimes the truth that we pick up is not what we were bargained for, but somehow it connects us. See, the way we communicate in life doesn't just come from our mouth, it comes from our body language. So, not just what we say, how we say, but what we don't say. The most important thing is what we don't say. It's actually our body language. The next important thing is how we say it. The least important thing is what we say. And I think when we can relate these little nuances together, our life can change a lot. When we know that we're working towards something and we get stuck, that's not the time to say, hey, I don't know what to do. Okay. These are important things, guys. And you can literally find stuff and you could find out what's going on if, okay, big if you know what's going on. Okay. I think sometimes people, again, get lost in the shuffle. And the reason they get lost is because they get misdirected. They think they're trying to go from A to Z, but in actuality, they've got to get from 1 to 100. What am I saying to you? I'm saying that the destination that we're looking for might not be the path we're on. We might be trying to get to, oh, I don't know, let's say northern United States. But we're on a roadway that doesn't go that way, that goes opposite that direction. And we figure this out either by some stroke of luck, somebody says something to us, right? Or we get this sense that, I think I've been around this tree a few times. You ever remember? I remember in Scouts a lot of times we'd go around a tree. And the famous thing I said to everybody, okay, So we've gone around this tree before. No, we haven't, John. We've been doing this longer than you have. Okay. We walk this tree all the time. Okay. So it's getting dark now. We're walking around. We're at that tree again. I'm like, we're at this tree again. No, it's not the same tree. It's a different tree. All right. I have an idea, guys. Why don't we mark the tree? Tie a rope around it or make a mark on it. So we decided to tie a rope around it. And guess what happened in another 30, 40 minutes? We're back at the tree again. Guys, I think we're at the same tree again. Yeah, I guess we should go the other way. So that becomes a challenge for a lot of people. They don't want to admit that they don't know where they're going. But there's no crime or shame in not knowing where you're going. The problem is not asking for help. I've learned there's a lot of people in this world that want to help you. And there's also some people in the world that couldn't care less about helping you. But if you align yourself, you will connect with those people that really want to help you. All right. And it comes by a certain alignment that we do. Okay. I think that's an important piece. If that alignment puts you in a certain direction, then now you understand like what's going on in life. You're not guessing anymore. Sometimes we deceive ourselves on purpose because we don't really want to know the answer, right? You ever been in school? Maybe it was a hard class, and you don't really want to get the test back. And then you finally have to face the music. It's time to get the test back. Maybe you're concerned about how you did. Maybe you didn't do as well as you expected. Maybe you're afraid that now you're going to need extra help. Maybe you're afraid what other people are going to say. But your grade's not something that's supposed to be put on a bulletin board. It's your private business. If you want to share it, that's fine. But it's your business. I remember a student coming to me, and other student coming to me, and he's saying, "What'd you get?" I said, "I don't really want to share it." He's like, "Oh, so you failed?" I said, "I just don't want to share it." And so he started telling people, "Oh yeah, he failed it. He's supposed to be so smart. He failed it." And so the teacher comes back and says, "No, he didn't fail it. Oh, he barely passed by the skin of his teeth." And the teacher looks at me and I look at her and I nod and she's like, "Nope, he got an A plus." I said, "I told you, I just didn't want to share it." Sometimes people share things because they're hoping they're going to impress you. I've learned you don't have to impress people anymore. If they don't like you for who you are, and you got to put on this communication sob story, is that really somebody that you want in your life? I mean, let's be truthful. Communication. If we ask Merriam-Webster, and this is where I'm going with this, right? And we look up the word communication according to Merriam-Webster, we're going to get a very interesting definition. Communication, it's a noun. The act or process of using words, sounds, signs, or behaviors to express or exchange information or to express thoughts, feelings, etc. to another person. Communication is a verbal or written message. But it doesn't have to be verbal either, right? It could be sign language. You all know the game charades, don't you? Sure. Communications is a technique for expressing ideas effectively, such as in a speech when I give keynotes, right? Communicational, right? It's an adjective. And communicational is more about the manner in which we deliver it, the vehicle. I think sometimes we're waiting for that pat on our back. And when we don't get it, when we've done so well, we lose hope. But why do you ever need the pat on the back? Why can't you pat yourself on the back? You see, people will eventually pat you on the back after you've patted yourself on the back enough times. Because, see, that's going to get you to take a stance. It's going to get you to grow. Again, nobody really wants to support you when you're starting. I use this analogy all the time. If the plane is still in the runway, or the train is still in the station, nobody cares. People will have their handouts asking you for things. But unless you can help them, you don't matter. And that's a horrible thing. But I've learned over the years that people that act like that don't deserve a spot in my life. Now, it's not to be nasty, but we talked about energy so many times, right? And energy is something that we've got to cherish like our multi-billion dollars. It's so valuable. I think when you appreciate who you are, what you do, others will start to do that too. I think when you can wake up in the morning and say, wow, I'm pretty smart, I'm intelligent, I'm creative, I'm unique, I'm special. Well, we're all special. It just, we have to figure out what our gifts are. And when we figure out what our gifts are, guess what happens? We can choose to share those with the world. Now, we don't have to do it for free. We can do it like in a business, right? But our gifts are what give us meaning and purpose in this world. There are going to be people that are going to abuse your gifts. And so you say, so long, bye-bye. I think when we sense that, the best thing I could tell you to do is to pull back. I've done that a few places where I knew people were abusing John. I said this phrase before: please don't take my kindness for weakness or you'll be sorry. So people that did that, I wasn't nasty to them, but I just became unavailable. I became busy. I became hard to reach. When you help a friend, is that friend there for you or vice versa? Because if the street goes one way, it's not give and take, the friendship's going to break. The rope is going to break. If we pull too hard on the rope in one direction and we don't give, the rope's going to eventually break. And many people don't understand this analogy because they think if they keep taking, they can keep taking. But that supply is going to be turned off if you don't give. In my lifetime, I've been very fortunate to learn about some very nice people, but I've also learned they're takers. People that say they're going to do things for you, but they don't. People that make promises on a handshake, and then they fall through. These aren't the people you take to court. These are the people that you've learned a hard lesson from. And that you barely want to be acquaintances. So maybe you're being polite, but you're not, how can I say, so captivated by them before as you used to be. You find out that they're just, well, full bull, to be honest. And when we can express something, it means a lot. I get a lot of people that reach out and say, "Hey, John, can you help with this?" And my response is, "Sure, I'll be happy to give you 5 or 10 minutes." Once it goes past 5 or 10 minutes, it becomes billable in my industry. You also get the people that go and say, "Oh, I have a question on this, I have a question on that." I had to literally set some of my friends straight. I thought were friends, they weren't, and let them know, "Hey, I'm happy to help you. And I'm happy to answer a question once in a while." It becomes more than twice a week or more than 5 minutes, I'm going to have to start billing you for consulting. They laughed. I said, "Try it. You'll get a bill." And again, it's not to be nasty. It's because our time and our worth is so precious in this world that we all deserve to be treated with the utmost respect. So, communication, although it might seem like a game, it's a volley of respect. Whether you play tennis like myself, or you played pickleball, or you played racquetball, it's a volley back and forth. It's not a slam dunk the ball in the net. It's a volley back, forth. I like to call it an ebb and a flow, like water, down a mountain stream. And many of you know that I'm writing a book. I'm not going to get into that now, but the more I get into the book, the more that I start to think about these lessons that I want to share with all of you and how I know my book is going to make an impact on many people's lives. I've said to people this many times. I've said, "Look, you can love me, you can hate me, or you can move on, but I'm not going to tolerate disrespect." Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Be sure to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. You guys have a great one. And remember, when you communicate, do it effectively and always be mindful and respectful of who and how you're communicating with them.